Hello, how's everybody doing? What I'm doing now is a carrot cake, the vegan carrot cake. Okay, I did some of the awkward things. Um, the things like, for instance, in place of the egg substitute is flax seed, FLAX seed, okay? And I put 2 tablespoons in a small bowl of flax seed. It's a substitute for the eggs. And I put, and it's with, you had to have hot water, boiling water. So I boiled the water, and instead of pouring the water, I stuck the 6 tablespoons that you need, and I added it to the flax seed, the 2 tablespoons of flax seed. And then I just sat it, you gotta wait until it gets gooey, but they said wait a minute, but I did that first, so, and then I just sat this in the rest of the hot water. I don't know if it's going to be good, but it's just an idea that I had. Since you wanted to get gooey, this way it's really going to get gooey. So I have it like this. So that's 2 tablespoons of flaxseed, the boiling water. I told you I placed the 6 tablespoons of, I added it to the 2 tablespoons of flaxseed. And I'm going to just let it sit in the hot water, actually, because I won't be able to, because I wasn't ready for it yet. But I wanted to get that out the way. Now what I'm doing is I'm sifting, okay? Sifting 2 cups of all-purpose flour. And that's 2 cups of all-purpose flour. Let me just make sure. Okay, and that's right, 2 cups of all-purpose flour. And they want it sifted. So I have my sifter here. It's not like one of those things that my mother used to use. And I use, instead of doing scoops of 1 cup, I do half cups so that it's a little bit neater, okay? So I'm putting the 1/2 cup and I'm going to sift it. Okay, so you see it sifting, okay? And I sift half cups. So I need 4 of these half cups. Okay, so I got 1. Now I'm going to do another half. Kind of get that down. Do another half. So that's 1 cup of flour. Now I need 1 more cup of sifted flour. So I'm putting another cup of sifted flour. I really like the idea of the flax seed. I really do. I added a little bit more. Just a teeny bit more because I liked it so much. Okay, so this is 1 1/2. Okay, now the oven, I also preheated the oven. Okay, and then I need 1/2 more. I mean, 1 more half, which would make 2 cups. I don't like to go overboard on this. Okay, so here we go. And then we have this. Okay, I hope this doesn't overflow. Because my biggest bowl, yeah, this is my biggest bowl. So that's done for the sifting, okay? I'm going to put that there. Okay. Let me just dry this out. I like to keep everything like massively, let me see if I could swivel this. Okay, yeah. I like to keep everything massively nice and neat. Well, I learned a lot of this from one person I lived with. She was very, very neat, and she really taught me a lot about neatness when you're cooking and stuff like that. I like to be neat, But I like to be neat, but I like to not be so neat. Because we grew up in a house that was neat. Okay, let me tell you something. Like my aunts, we grew up as Jehovah's Witness, of course. And I had different kinds of aunts. Okay, my mother, they were all sisters, okay? There was 3 sisters, 4 sisters or 3 sisters. Aunt Shirley, Aunt Patsy, and Ma. So that was like 3. My mother was like in between. I mean, we kept the house clean, but she let it get cluttered a little bit. I mean, what I'm saying is like we had fun, but we didn't go overboard because the house was always clean. Like we had to clean every day, but we didn't go crazy over, like this has to be in this place, this has to be in this place. But we had to clean every day. Everything, like the dishes had to be done, the carpet. Then we have this this deep cleaning. Like once a week, we would do deep cleaning. I mean, sometimes it was really a lot of cleaning, but we did that like every. And then when people came over, it was like more than deep cleaning. Then I had one aunt. Her name was Aunt Patsy, and she was like total everything in order type person. Whenever you go over her house, it was straight. I mean, what I'm saying, because her husband worked full time and she stayed home and she kept the house and she did very well in her house and stuff like that. And one time we stayed over her house. I remember staying over her house and it was just, everything was in order. Everything was really nice. And then my other aunt, Aunt Shirley, she was kind of sloppy like, but it was nice. Her house is clean and it was nice, but she's a little bit less than my mother was. Not totally, but a little bit more. But not extreme. So my mother was in the middle, very tidy every day. My Aunt Patsy was spotless clean, and then Aunt Shirley, she was a little bit a little bit more sloppy than we weren't sloppy, but she was like, that kind of, it wasn't extreme, but it was just more like, how can I say, more like lived in type. It's nothing negative, but it was really nice. And I liked going over her house too. So anyway, so now how in the world did we get there? It's because I like to keep the house. I like to, when I cook, I like to make sure everything is in order and in place. And I got very good teachers from the people I learned how to cook. Okay, so we did the flour. And I told you a little story, I'm sorry. But we're going to have fun doing this, okay? So now, what's the next thing? Oh, another thing I did was these pans. I didn't spray them, but I made sure they had oil, lightly oiled. They said spray, but I didn't get a sprayer, thank God. I didn't want to I wanted to save a little bit. So I I oiled it a little bit with a napkin, and then I put parchment paper. I got parchment paper, and I put the parchment paper on there. And I'm going to show you the parchment paper so that you could, we always grew up in a place where we always used wax paper. And now they got parchment paper. I guess that's a little bit better, but they had wax paper and parchment paper there. And I guess now parchment is kind of popular also. And they use it in a bakery where I work, parchment paper. So I got the parchment paper, you see it here, and I cut it for the 2 sheets. And this is, so if you want to see it, this is what I got right here. And so that's that. And I showed you the 2 pans. Another thing I did of my own was it's supposed to be round pans because it's for like a cake that you layer and then you frost. I don't really want frosting. I don't want frosting because the cake is going to be sweet. And it's funny, I'm talking about vegan too. When you're vegan, so this is really relaxed. I hope you're enjoying this because this is not so much cooking, but it's getting familiar with each other and things like that, and understand a little bit more about being a vegan, because this is a vegan cake. And I've been a vegan for like 11 years, so I wanted to tell you some things for people who are interested in being a vegan. I hope you really listen, because I really love it, and what I'm trying to say, I'm adept at being a vegan, okay? Because you survive. You have to survive. You know what I mean? And what I'm saying is that I had to learn how to be a vegan. I stress this a lot, and I'm going to keep stressing it, because it's very important to learn about being a vegan before you say you're going to be a vegan. I've heard people say, I was a vegan. I said, how long? They said 2 weeks or 1 week. It doesn't work like that. I went through the whole thing. I'm going on 12 years being a vegan. And believe me, your body has to get used to it. It's better to take your time and be a vegan. But I didn't take it. I went right through it, because I did vegetarian first, and I was really serious about it, and I really liked it. But I never liked milk, and I never liked eggs, so I just jumped right into being a vegan. But it's funny, because I needed a book. I don't know why I know I needed a book, but I knew I needed a book. I guess because I'm always studying stuff, and I always want to do things, the best, not perfect, but I wanted to be the best at being a vegan. But I didn't say vegan because I wasn't. That's one thing. I didn't really think about being a vegan, because it wasn't really like a political vegan, that I was. So I even had to learn the term and how to spell vegan, because I never really used it. But Juliana Hever, which I expressed her name before, she's everywhere, so you can just look her up. But I got a book from her. The Idiot's Guide, I think, something like that, being a vegan, and I studied it straight through. I think the most important chapters, not the whole book, because it dealt with other different styles of eating, but one of the major styles, it was whole food plant-based. So I wanted to keep with the whole food plant-based, and I got videos on that I told you about, that I did earlier, so I'm not going to get into that. But then I came up with, because of communication problems with explaining people what I did, what I'm doing, I decided to use the term vegan. So, which is good, because it helps a lot of people, and it's good to have the category of being a vegan, because it's pretty much, it's vegan. But know this, there's all different kinds of vegans, okay? There's all different kinds of styles as far as vegan is concerned, but all of it is whole food, plant-based, and no animals. But I explained to you a lot of different things about being a vegan, because I've been a vegan for 12 years. Like everything on this channel, when I'm doing something, I've done it for years. I mean, like, I don't really tell you anything that I have done less than 5 years. Less than 5 years. There's things that I'm working on that I start, and I know I have so many other things, so I'm not going to get bored with it. But anyway, these are the two pans I use. I'm using square. They weren't round, and that's why I got into this, because I was telling you about the sugar as far as being a vegan. Before I was a vegan, I had to have, like, I think it was candy or candy bars. I would always, and drink sugar in my coffee. But it's funny, when you're a vegan, you have to really listen to your body, and don't force yourself to do things. Wait until your body's ready. But I noticed, because when I became a vegan, I stopped putting sugar in my coffee. And I stopped eating like candy bars and stuff like that regularly. Now I eat one every so often, certain kinds. And, just eating sugar things, you know what I mean? Candy just wiped out. Don't drink it at all. Probably most likely, I think it's because we get a lot of starch, because I starch is things with starch in it is a very important part of my diet, which a lot of people, which I know or I figure most likely because starch and sugar go together or something. I'm not being perfect about it, but it has something to do with it. So because you intake those starches, your need or your want or your taste for sugar doesn't really, it's not really, it stops, and well, to me, it stopped existing. So that's the kind of sugar that I usually have, is the kind that my body breaks down, okay, to sugar. So I think it's up to you whether you say it's good or not, but that I think got me I just don't have any taste for sugar, for regular sugar. So that's why I'm saying I'm not going to do the frosting. I do eat frosting sometime. Like I explained to you, just for the fun of it, but it's just not something that I look forward to, you know what I mean? So anyway, got that. Now we're going to move on with this. The flour is done. I'm going to take this out. I'm going to keep that there. Okay. And that's going to be the flour is done. Okay. Okay. Now there was something else I needed. Okay, I got everything here in line. So now let's see what's next. Oh, I want to grade the chopped. I want to grade the carrots now. I like to do everything that that causes, I don't know, that has like a that has, how can I say? It's 2 cups. I think it's 2 cups of carrots. But anything that's out of the norm, to where I can just go get all the little rough parts of the recipe. So let's do that. Let's see how many cups grated carrots. 2 1/3 cup. Okay, 2 1/3 cup. Now I have this here, and I made sure it had that, because I'm not really familiar with the milliliters or whatever. But I'm going to make sure that I already made sure that this can fit 2 1/2 cups already. Okay, so then I'm going to use this thing. I guess grated. That's all. And I guess this would be grated like this. And I'm just going to do it right in the bowl. I wanted to do it like really thin, but I think this is good enough. And I got this thing. Right now it's like doing something that I don't like. It's like splashing, which I don't want it to do that, because I want to keep everything encased, everything neat. So I got this thing, and it's supposed to fit on top of here. I could tell you where I got it from, but I got it from Target. But I don't like to plug things. I'm not getting any money from them. So anyway, I got this, and I'm going to grate it just like this. So let me see if I can push this here, and I'm going to grate it right in front. You see, look at now, it doesn't spray. So that's good. I didn't want it to spray. Now it's going right into that little pocket, like you see. I got this at Target, and it's still spilling out a little bit, but I don't want it to spill out at all. So I'm going to leave it, I'm going to put it up, because I don't want it to spill out. And it seems like it's not spilling out now. Okay. And just grate them in. I'm going to use... Keep this in here. You can still see it, right? Yeah. So I'm grating these. There's a time when I didn't like all cooking, you know? It's funny how you change your whole attitude sometimes, you know? I mean, in my family, well, my sister, I don't know how Lynette learned how to cook, but I have a sister. I guess my oldest sister, I don't know if she learned, she did cook, I don't know, it seems like she learned how to cook herself. Oh yeah, that's right. In Buffalo, New York, where I grew up, they had in your schools, and this is like in the 70s, I guess in the 80s, you had to take home economics. So I think that's where they learned a lot of cooking and stuff. Because I don't remember my mother ever like teaching us that we, you know, to cook or anything. My brother watched my mother cook, and he learned. I never saw him like look at her, but he learned from her. I mean, he's like, he did everything. He did mostly like sports, and they could swim, and they did, because in school you had to swim also. In Buffalo, New York, you had to. You know, and he learned how to do everything, and it's funny, believe it or not, I don't know how he picked up cooking, but he told me that he learned how to cook from Mom. So, you know, it's something else. Because I knew he could. Actually, thinking back, I remember him cooking. You know what I mean? But I didn't know he had an interest in it. And he cooks very well. So anyway, we get this carrots, and I need a cup. 2 cups and 1/3. I'm just grating them, you know. And I got this thing. Oh, look what happened. It got so full that it just flipped over. So now we got that problem. 2 cups and 1/3. I'm going to see if I can get 2 cups. I know this has 2 cups, but I'm going to put it in here because this is a lot. Anyway, I'm not going to get it out the sink. I'm going to just grate another one. And it's almost finished. So I'm glad I did it in the sink because I don't want to clean up. I don't want to clean up that. And this is about done. So I never ever. I was never interested in cooking. I mean, I got my own apartment when I was like 21 or 22, I think. And I just cooked, I don't know what I cooked. I think I just cooked just regular, I didn't cook rice and stuff. I don't know what I cooked, but I know probably it was just like, a lot, because I had a roommate, and I remember I would cook, but I know I didn't cook rice. Because I had one guy who lived with me, and he knew how to cook rice, and he was trying to explain it to me, and I never really understood. I always cooked rice by chance, you know, like I would cook it, and then it would be like, oh, it worked. And it's funny, sometimes it wouldn't work, and I had to freeze it and throw it away, because, you know, you can't throw away a lot of food. I mean, you can't put it in a garbage can. So I would do things like that, you know. It was, like, really complicated. And I got this one. This fills up really quick. So that's, this is another in 1/3. So I'm gonna... I just need 1 more third. This carrot will do it. Okay, so I didn't really learn how to cook. But when I became vegan, when I started being vegan, I got into cooking vegan, and which is good because vegan has, you could be complicated cooking, or else you could be like, or else you could cook like, how can I say? It could be really complicated or it could be really simple. And I did the simple route because I would do a lot of beans, and there's all different kinds of beans. Everybody talks about beans, and they go, "Oh, you just eat beans," but there's so many varieties of beans and peas, and grains. There's so much, but it's funny because when I let them know, I go, "Well, what do you eat? Do you eat chicken all the time?" They go, "Yeah." So it's like chicken, beef. You have chicken, you have beef. I never liked beef. That's another thing that helped me out. I never really liked beef. I liked hamburgers, but I didn't really care for beef. I did like ham. That was good. I loved bacon. I thought bacon was good for you, which is good. It had some good. Well, now I don't eat it, but it has some good things in it. But what I was saying is that it's such a big variety of food that you can eat that you don't realize when you eat meat. You don't realize that you pretty much eat the same thing all the time, unless you're some kind of gourmet chef, which in order to eat really different foods, you have to go to like different restaurants and try different restaurant food. And now this is like, I packed it kind of down, but this is 2 cups. And I think I really want to be, that's 2 cups. I figured in here, let me see, but that's too much. But I'm gonna do that. That's gonna work. And now I'm gonna need 1/3 cup more. And let me see if there's a third in here. There's a half. It's not really a third. So I'm going to get a measuring thing for the third. Let me see. Okay, so maybe this is the third. Sometimes I have to put my glasses on. This is the third. Okay. So I need 1 little third more. Then I'm going to... Let me just get this. So like I never really cook. I guess I really started cooking, enjoying cooking in the last year. No, not year, 2 years. Because I worked for this one place, and they made me learn, certain things to cook. I mean, I had to. So anyway, I'm putting a lot of carrots. I even packed them down, so that's a third too. So I have the carrots ready. And now I'm going to wash this up really quick. Just to keep things nice. So, ouch. I know this thing is sharp. Let me see if I can get this. I like to keep things, of course I like to keep things clean. I just want to make sure this is alright. Clean. Making sure there's no carrots. One thing I don't like, it's like when you get something, when you buy something, I like to make sure it stays like, not sparkly, but clean. I mean, if you let things go, little bit by little bit, and then when you clean it, after you decide to clean it, and then it never gets clean, or you have to spend too much time. But when you clean something like in the beginning and you just keep it clean, it stays that way. I mean, it looks really nice all the time. So this is actually very clean now. Okay. Then I'm going to put this up. Put this up. Okay. Now. And then I'm going to put up the carrots. these up. You know, they got this organic stuff all the time now. I mean, I guess, you know, the organic carrots were very expensive. And it was like, no. It's funny because this kind of, I was looking for that thing. But anyway, I'm not going to find it for now. But anyway, it's funny because, oh, the pears. Nowadays, because they have this organic thing, I mean, not everything is organic. Organic means it's just grown regular, okay? And I just say, you know, that's the way it goes. I mean, they don't give you any choices unless you want to spend, I think, like 1/8 more, or sometimes one. I mean, it's a lot, you know. Sometimes it's, I guess 1/8 more to 1/4 more for whatever you buy. But some things is down on it because I remember the pears. Like, for instance, it's hard to get pears. The pears used to be so nice back then when they didn't have all this chemical stuff, but, you know, what can you do? What can you say? So anyway, I just got the regular carrots, okay? But everybody's surviving, so I guess it's all right, whatever chemicals they put into it. I'm going to get this out the way, and then we're going to go to the next stage. The oven's already ready. Keep this thing clean. Got that done, got that done. Just put this down into the garbage disposal. Well, I have a friend who kind of helped me. I mean, I wanted to do this, and then one of my friends said, oh, that's interesting. Let me see the video when you do it. So I decided to do the video, which is inspiration, because I do everything on YouTube. I do everything by myself. In the beginning, until this channel is very successful, I hope so, you pretty much got to do things by yourself, and you got to use your imagination. So sometimes when you have a friend that is that's interested, it kind of helps you out because you're doing everything by yourself, and they give you. I had few friends that are very interested, and they give me ideas. Some people are negative, but I don't really listen to them. I mean, I listen to them, but I go, okay, yeah, and that's it. But when you have somebody who's interested, and they're really interested, a lot of people are really interested, but one of my friends are very, like, they kind of like, how can I say, encouraged, that's what I mean, very encouraging, and I could use all the encouragement, so that helps out a lot. So now we have our carrots. This is like 2.5 cups, that's right, 2.5 cups. And so everything as far as the hard, out of place things to do are done. So now this thing should just be rocking and rolling. And we're almost there, okay? So now we're going to put the ingredients. We're going to put the, okay, so let me just read this. It says sift the all-purpose flour into the mixing bowl. Add the baking powder. Now we're going to do baking powder, baking soda, salt, cinnamon, egg, nutmeg, and mix it together. Okay. And I remember last time this morning when I did this, I didn't mix the the dry ingredients, which kind of made it harder for me to. They had these little bumps, which I didn't like. So we're gonna do the ingredients, like they said, the dry ingredients. So I got two cups of all-purpose flour, a tablespoon of baking powder. No, a teaspoon of baking powder. Okay. Let me see my teaspoon. Yep, this is the teaspoon of baking powder. And I'm not sure I'll put everything out, but I didn't put the baking powder out. That's funny. Okay, so 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Okay, goes right in there. And I can put this back since I'll just put it here. Okay. Baking soda, 1 teaspoon of baking soda. I have I like to keep everything in containers. That's another thing. I think it's neater. And I don't measure anything from the box unless, I have to. So this is 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Okay. This is the baking soda. I love this cup. It's supposed to be like a soup cup. So I got that. Okay, 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And then believe it or not, there is a 1/2 teaspoon. And for you, did you know that a teaspoon and a half and a teaspoon and a half equals a tablespoon? That's just something trivial that I learned from where I worked. So this is a 1/2 teaspoon. This is a lot though. Look at this. Let me make sure on this. A 1/2 teaspoon and a 1/4 teaspoon. Wow. This has to be a 1/4 tablespoon. I wouldn't believe. Let me just get this light. Let me get this light to make sure. Okay, so this is a 1/2 teaspoon. And this is a 1/2 teaspoon. I'm almost sure. So what's a tablespoon? This is a tablespoon. And this is a teaspoon. Yeah. Okay, so a 1/2 teaspoon. So we get a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. That in there. Okay, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I don't know why I thought it was a lot. It just looks like a lot. I'm gonna keep the light on just in case I need it. Let me see. Okay, cinnamon, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. And I got the cinnamon here. When I started cooking though, I never thought spices were that expensive. They are expensive. They can be a lot. I got the cheapest ones I could get, most of them, but I didn't realize that they could really get into. I remember one time we used to do a spice cake. That was the most expensive. It had some cardamom, I think, or something like that. And that was like, wow. It was so expensive, but it was good. Okay, so we have 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. That's a lot. That's 1 teaspoon. Let it go over a little bit. That's 2 teaspoons. And this can go up. Okay. I got that. 1 teaspoon of nutmeg. Nutmeg. You wouldn't think that you would know, the difference. I don't think so. If I had the money, I would get the most expensive and I would figure out what made it so. Not on all things, but things that I know that would change the flavor or something. So I'm going to wipe this a little bit because I don't want it to mix. Some things I don't care, like cornmeal and flour. I don't mind about using the same thing. This one I would. So this is nutmeg. Is it nutmeg? I mean, it's nutmeg. I just wanted to make sure what happened here. I'm almost sure it's 1 teaspoon, and I just lost the page. Oh no. Okay, nutmeg. Okay. And let me see if I put the sugar. What do I add? Okay. I got that powder, baking soda, cinnamon, nutmeg together. Okay. Now I'm going to mix it. I always use this one. I'm going to use this one now. No, this one's better to mix it. Okay. So I'm going to mix it. The dry ingredients. Okay. Like I didn't do before this morning. Okay. Just mix it together. And like I said, when I mix, I just think about mixing. Like, mixing is really hard. And it's not, you can't look at it as a chore, you gotta figure it out. Like, I learned that from my American Yoga, Dance Without Music / Dance Without Music. It's another program if you're not familiar with my station. But we do things, when we do things, we do things. We don't put other things in our mind because it's important. You don't realize the importance until you start doing it this way. So you see, I'm talking and everything, but I'm really interested in this mixing. It's important to me. You know, the way I'm mixing it, the making sure that it's thing. I mean, I'm paying attention to what I'm doing. And if you're really into Dance Without Music, American Yoga, you will know how I work, and how I do things. That's very important. We call it an apparatus in American Yoga. Like, for instance, I'm doing this now. It's an apparatus. Your body forms an apparatus, and I say, from my American Yoga, you have to get used to the apparatus, and you can change the apparatus. The apparatus is when you use certain muscles to do certain things. It's just formed, like, look at this form that I have, okay? And I can change it, I can learn more about it. But say if you don't know about the apparatus, you're just doing it. You're not learning anything from it. So that's mixed. And I told you, this is just going to be a nice conversation with, just explaining about vegan. And I'm giving you some information about my other parts of the channel, things that may interest you. But anyway, okay, so that's done. Now I'm going to put this on. It's funny because I thought it was a little greater, but no, it's not. That was the other one. The nutmeg, the cinnamon had the little holes. No. Okay, so I messed up something. I'm missing something. Okay, because I knew I remembered a little circle or something. Oh, maybe it's on the top. No. I know I had... Oh, here it goes. Okay. Because I knew it had this, and I said, what in the world happened to it? Then I find it later, and then I have to go do this. So anyway, I put that back. Okay. So that happened. If I wasn't so interested in everything that I was doing, I would probably just kept it there, and then I had to go through all this trouble. But being noticing everything you do is very important. Everything is important. It's funny because I don't know. I'm not going to tell that story. So anyway, that's together, Then add the light brown sugar and grated carrots to the mixing bowl. So light brown sugar. Let's see how much light brown sugar. Light brown sugar. 1 1/2 cups of light brown sugar. So what are we going to do? We're going to use this. Light brown sugar is kind of moist. So we're going to use the half one. Let me make sure this is half. We're going to use the half one. Okay, I hope these things don't wear down because then I'm learning how to look at them and tell what's half and stuff like that, so I don't have to worry about that. Just something I'm doing. Okay, so anyway, there's going to be 3 of these because I'm just using halves for the light brown sugar. And the light brown sugar, I already have. Oh, what did I do with it? Light brown sugar. That's the. Okay, I put it here. I already got it ready. Okay, so this is going to be 3 of these because it's 1 1/2. Not 1. Yeah, because it's 1 1/2. So I got 1. Oh, it's a whole cup. I don't know why I think everything is a lot. So this is 1 cup. I just got to make sure. Yep, and I'm doing 3. That's 1, 2, and 3 makes the. And I'm using something. I'm doing. The nice thing about it is the reason why I'm doing this. I'm doing it for a reason, and the reason is that. I already told you when I was making the corn. If everybody, whoever watched the YouTube on the cornbread, because I had a problem with in the morning. I usually stop at the store and get like these, not Danish, but I forgot the name of it. It's something like sometimes cinnamon roll or I don't know what it's called. I forgot. Honey bun or something like that. And not just that, but sometimes I would go to McDonald's. McDonald's is too expensive. I don't like McDonald's anymore. If you grew up in the 60s and 70s, most likely you don't like McDonald's anymore because it was so nice. It was such a beautiful place. And they just turned into some kind of like really bad place. And not just that, but it's so expensive. The last time I went to McDonald's, I spent $14 on just regular things. And that's another reason why I decided to make the cake. These vegan cakes. Not just that, but I got the ones that I'm going to keep using. Like I do this. I already got the cornbread. And then I got this one. And it's something that I'm going to eat all the time, you know. And I got my bags so that I could take them with me. So now we got this, and we're going to put this in, okay? And we're going to mix this up with the dry ingredients. I guess this is not. It's getting into. It's funny. They're adding the less dry. Okay, first it was all the dry things, and now the brown sugar, of course, has a little moisture. So they're putting the moisture in. That's what I'm just figuring, because this is the brown sugar, and then the next thing is going to be even more. How can I say wet or whatever? More moist would be the carrots. And then, so I'm doing my mixing and I'm paying attention to my mixing so I can develop my apparatus for. And you can see how it looks now. Maybe if I don't really want to move anything, but maybe you can see. So I got this mixed pretty well. It smells really good. Get those little chunks. Okay. So I got that done. Because, you know, like, stirring could be like, I would look at it as really a chore. But I don't want it to be a chore. So what I'm doing is I'm paying attention to how I'm mixing it, because I don't want it to be a chore. I want to learn about the mechanism of, like I said, the mechanism, we call it apparatus. And I want to get to understand about this mixing. And now I'm going to put the carrots in, as they said. It's a lot of carrots. I hope that's right. Look at this, is a lot of carrots. I mean, this is really a carrot cake. I hope I didn't. Did I do it right? It just say 2. I hope they said 2. They said 2. Please, let me go see if I made a mistake. Because this is a lot of carrot. Everything looks like too much to me. Let me take this light off. If I made a big mistake, let me see. Okay, so this is 2 cups, right? Yes, 2 cups and a half. And let me see if they said 2 cups, because this looks like a lot of carrots. Two cups of flour. I did the 2 cups of flour. Carrots, 2 1/3 cups of grated carrot. Yep, I did it. So this is right. I never knew that there was that many carrots in this carrot cake. But everything seemed like it was too much to me. So now I'm mixing it. Of course, I'm adjusting the apparatus because of the carrots in it. And this is basically dry ingredients. Okay. Let me put it down a little bit. See if you can still see it. Yeah. Let me see. I'm almost sure you can still see it. Yeah, you can. So anyway, I'm folding it in. This is really something else. And you know, I really don't like when someone cooks. When I look at it cooking, you know, there's so many different cooking things, and then they don't show you everything. It's like, oh, I already did this, or I already did that, and they pop it up in 1 second. It just shouldn't be done like that, because you have to learn an appreciation of doing things too, you know? And if you're really interested in it, you want to live through it, you know what I mean? But they do everything so fast that you don't really get a chance to think about it, you know? But like the way I'm doing it, you most likely will not have to read or you remember everything, because I talked about everything. And I give you time to think about it. But if you just have everything ready and look at, now I can see where the carrot, okay, now I can see how everything is mixed. So I can see the carrots, like, and they said, okay, so I was reading the recipe earlier, and they were saying if you're working on it and it doesn't look like right, that means the carrots have to like do this kind of formation or whatever to glutenize or something like that, something term like that in the recipe. So they said sit and let the carrots absorb or whatever they do, and then come back to it, and it should be all right. So I can see that happening. So the carrots have like a chemical reaction to everything too, because they're so moist, you know. So I got this as a dry, And that looks good. But I never understood that there was that many carrots in a carrot cake, but that's what it is. It's a carrot cake. So that was 2 1/3 cups of carrots. So let's see this. So we got this. Now we did the light brown sugar. And that was 2 cups of light brown sugar. That was 1 1/2 cup of light brown sugar. So that's 1 1/2 cup of light brown sugar, 2 1/2 cups of, 2 1/3 cups of grated carrots. Now we're going to put the flux in the oil. I'm almost sure. So let's see. Prepare your flax eggs. I already did that. Hot water. Let it sit for a minute. We already let it sit for a long time. Add the flax eggs. Now we're putting the flax eggs in. And I had it in here from the beginning I told you about. So we're putting the flax eggs in. And I had it sit, and I sat it in the, I already told you how I sat it in that water, in the hot water. Okay? So now we're adding that and the oil, but I'm going to kind of like mix it now. Okay? Because we're going to put the oil in it. Okay, so that's the flax. It's not really, okay, flax oil, vanilla extract, the apple cider vinegar, and the chopped walnuts, which I did not get. It was my choice. I didn't want to get that, to the mixing bowl. So let's go to all these ingredients now. The liquidy ones. So we have I put the flax and replace it. They call it flax eggs, so I want to call that too. 1/2 cup of canola oil, which I have here. I have the 1/2 cup here. 1/2 cup of canola oil. And when I put them in these, because they're not dry ingredients, I try and swish it just a little bit. Not putting all of them in, but just, mixing it with the dry. I know it's not going to mix all the way, but I'm doing it like this. And like I'm thinking about my apparatus, my mixing apparatus, so I could become a very good mixer. That's one thing I never liked to think about, was that mixing, but now I'm learning it, Seeing what time it is. Oh, that's not the time, that's it. I can catch the time in a little bit. And the more liquidy it is, the more everything gets together. But I think that's a very important part, is just this mixing, I remember in the 80s when I had this one job, and he was one of my friends. He worked in the bar. I was a waiter, and he did this drink. I forgot the name of it. Maybe Tom Collins or whatever. I don't know. And the guy drank it, the customer, and he liked it so much. He said he wanted to find out how this person did it. And I always keep the story. I got these things that are really important to me in my life, and that was one of them. And he goes, the manager was talking to us, and he thought it was funny because he goes, so I took him to the customer. This is a very nice. This is a 5-star hotel, and the guy asked, "What did you do different?" And he said, "I shook it this way." That's all he said. Instead of shaking it, something like instead of shaking it left and right, I shook it vertically. And the manager thought that was so funny, but I listened to it, and because he was my friend, and I go, I believed him. Nowadays they would believe you, but back then it was funny. You know what I mean? Something so trivial. So that's why I think it's very important. Every time I do some kind of mixing or something, I always think about him. I told you I got these things to where, everybody has them, to where one person in your life affected you for this one thing. And as far as mixing, he was from the Philippines. He was the one that affected me as far as that. I have one thing, like for when I do my contacts, before I put the contacts in, I always clean the loose eyelashes out. And I got that from high school. I had this one friend, very good friend, and I had just gotten my contact lenses. So we were in there's an automotive class, and we were in the locker room, and he was putting his contacts on. He was showing me. He goes, I always take the loose eyelashes out, and I always remember that. So I'm sure everybody has that, So look how I made it, and I still don't have all the wet ingredients in yet. Okay, so now, canola oil, we did that, or vegetable oil, I put canola oil. Now we do the 1 teaspoon of vanilla. 1 teaspoon of vanilla. I'm almost sure this is 1 teaspoon of vanilla. I didn't even know vanilla. When I was looking at vanilla, it was like, what? What? It's not $1? That was another thing. I told you. You always learn something. And I didn't know all of this my whole life until I started cooking. Until I had an interest. I could not cook because I didn't have any interest. I mean, I cooked to survive, but that was it. So I'm putting 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And that's it. I'm putting this up in this section. And now what's next? And then I'll mix it around a little bit. Always mix everything around a little bit. Okay, and now what's next? I never thought I would be doing this cooking. Never in my life. 1 tablespoon of apple cider. I thought it was more than that. 1/2 canola. Okay, yeah. 1 tablespoon of apple cider. I thought it was more apple cider than that. But 1 tablespoon of apple cider. Okay, and here we go. And it's so interesting being a vegan because this is a tablespoon. Because, let me just see this. Oh yeah, this is a tablespoon. Because, what was I going to say? Just totally forgot what I wanted to say. Okay, that's the apple. I was going to say something. Oh yeah, it's funny because I knew I was going to do this thing, and I didn't know what I was going to eat. So I decided to, this is apple, I didn't know if I expressed it that much, but this is apple cider. I didn't really go over that. But it's apple cider vinegar, okay? If you want to see an apple cider vinegar. And I got the cheapest one. Okay. So anyway, now we're doing an apple cider. But I didn't know what I was going to eat. Because, you know, I know I wanted to do this. And I have to eat too. So I decided to eat, it's so interesting being vegan. I want to cook a little bit of grits probably. But the most important thing is I want a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Every so often I love peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I can eat 2 or 3 being a vegan. And I got sunflower peanut butter. They call it sunflower butter. So I can't say peanut butter. Because peanut is another nut. But sunflower peanut butter with jelly. That's going to be something else. And I'm going to have some grits. I love grits. That's another thing. So now I've already been mixing this, so it should go very well. Then they're going to tell me how it's supposed to be. And to me, it looks like a little bit like dough, but not as much like dough. It's like a bread type, more so bread. And this is going to be wild, but look, it's not that much. It's only an hour. So it didn't take that long because we talked about everything. And I really want to make sure this is really mixed very well. And that's another thing about mixing. If you don't want it, if you're not interested in mixing or anything, well, you're not going to do it well. You're not going to mix it well. So like I said, in my American yoga, we believe in doing things and paying attention to what you're doing, but not all these outside interferences. It takes a long time to learn. So, because that could really mess up the cake. So I'm mixing this really well because look at the flaxseed. How much flaxseed was it? It wasn't that much. But it has to get into everything. So I'm making sure this is really mixed very well. And another thing, I think the oven is good to keep the oven on for a while because it really gets an even heat. So that's why I'm glad that I put the oven on already. And I'm just going to keep up with this apparatus of mixing, So everything can have flaxseed, everything can have the oil, the canola oil, everything can have the carrots. And I was so worried about the carrot, but I didn't realize that the carrot actually gels out. What I'm saying, they say gels out. Let me tell you what they say. Okay, so mix together. If it seems like it won't, let me see. Okay. If it seems like it won't come together, which mine came together, and the mix is too dry, it's not too dry, then step away from the bowl for a couple of minutes and then come back to it. The carrots will have released more moisture. The carrots release moisture into the batter, allowing it to come together into a thick batter. And that's what it is. A very thick batter. It's a thick batter. So I'm doing it right. Still, I'm going to do it a little bit more with my mixing apparatus. I usually do things like this until my gut feeling tells me, okay, that's enough. It's a nice batter. And I didn't realize that about the carrots. Now I know about the carrots. I know that it's that the moisture has to come out. Now because I can see the moisture out because the carrots are like not that much now. So I didn't know the carrots had so much liquid, but I do drink carrot juice every so often, which is great. And see, like the carrots have sweet in it too. So a lot of things that you eat as being a vegan has a lot of natural sweetness to it. So that's another reason why, you just, after a while, you just don't eat a lot of candy and stuff like that. And sugar in your tea and stuff like that. Now I just like tea just to taste the tea or just to taste the coffee. Of course I wouldn't put any milk in it. Okay, so that seems like it's good now. I want to taste it, but I'm not going to do that. Okay, so now let's see what you do. Divide the batter evenly between 2 prepared cake pans. Okay? So now let me just divide the batter. It's supposed to be brown, but I got square like I told you. And let's put the batter in. You can see? Oh, I hope this thing works. The one thing I'm glad for, because they say being a square maybe just a little bit more, but one thing I like about the vegan cakes is the crust. I love the crust. So this is going to be hopefully very crusty. And this is going to melt out most likely. And I got it done. So it's done. I'm hoping that of course that it'll melt out. And that's done. So I guess I can show you this. Do you see it? Yeah, you see it. Just like that, I got that. And when it gets hot, I should hope that it should melt out. Okay? A little bit, but I like it crusty, so I'm glad I'm doing it. I think it's a tad larger doing the squares. Okay, so divide the batter in between 2 prepared cake pans. Bake for 30 minutes or until the toothpick's inserted into a certain one. Insert it or until a toothpick inserted into the center of one of the cakes comes out clean. Allow the cakes to cool in the pans for a few minutes before transferring them to a wire cooling rack to cool completely. While the cakes are cooling, prepare the frosting. I'm not doing the frosting. Okay, so that should be it. So now I'm putting them in the oven, and then I'm going to do like, to show you what I did, I'm going to do the short on how it looks, okay? So I'm putting it in the oven now. It's nice and hot. You know, we left it there for a long time, so it's an even heat, okay? Okay. And then I'm going to put the timer on for a half an hour. That should be enough. Usually when it's, now I notice if it's 350, it takes at least 30 minutes. If it's 450, If it's like 400, it takes like less than 30 minutes. That's just what I've noticed by doing these. So anyway, I'm putting a timer on. 30 minutes. That's it. We have the timer. Okay? Okay, so anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. It's only went in an hour, hour and 15 minutes. Yeah, hour and 50 minutes, an hour. But the thing about it is this is very important. If you want to enjoy something like this, at least you got to spend an hour learning it. If I did it the other way to have everything already done for you, you would miss part of the fact that it does take time to do it. And that's the only one thing I don't like about cooking shows and things like that. They do it so fast that you don't get a chance to live through it. But through this, you're living through the doing of the vegan carrot cake. So I hope you enjoyed this. And I'm looking forward to doing the short. In the short, I just show you how it looks. Okay? Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time. We might do a spice cake next, but now I have the cornbread, and I have now the spice cake, which I hope it turns out good. And so I'm going to do another one, something else later on. But I have snacks. I have a lot of things that I want to do as far as vegan, preparing vegan things. So I hope you enjoyed everything. And you know what? I was thinking also, you don't really have to be a vegan to do these desserts, because let's just say they're healthy desserts. So if you can eat normal the way you normally eat, but have these kind of desserts, it would help you. It would help out a lot, because usually desserts doesn't have any nutrition, but these kind of desserts have nutrition. So you can think about it that way. It'll help you out in a little bit. So anyway, I'll see y'all later. Take care, and I look forward to the next time. I'm due to short, so prepare yourself to see the finished product. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.